Welcome back to Tom's World Scale Model Series. In this episode, we unbox Takom's new 1/35th scale Stug 3 tank destroyer. If you enjoy programming on scale modeling, then show your support by subscribing to this channel. Leave us a comment, like, dislike, or share the video with friends. Clicking the notification bell gives you alerts when we post new content, or visit the channel Tom's World for a friendly visit for a complete list of all our videos. Originally designed as mobile assault artillery, when upgunned with a long-barreled tank rifle, the Stug 3 came into its own as a lethal tank killer. Built upon the Panzer III chassis, the design replaced the turret with a solid casement with a flexible gun mount. The new platform was easier, faster, and cheaper to manufacture and resulted in a low-slung profile which made it harder to hit and easier to conceal. The design proved so effective that its production continued throughout World War II, with the G model being the highest produced fully tracked vehicle in the German inventory. So stick with us as we unbox Takom's fine scale representation of one of Germany's finest World War II tank busters. Hey fellas, welcome back and thank you so much for taking the time to visit with me again. Well, we've got another little thing here, another little ditty. This time from Takom, part of their Blitz series. This is the Sturmgeschütz 3 Ausführung G early production. Kit number 8004, released in 2020 as initial release new tool. And the going price, $48.99 Canadian or $38.95 US dollars today. Let's put up the box dimensions real quick just so you get an idea of how big the packaging actually is. As we can see, we do have the early version of the Stug 3 here. We can confirm this because the early models had this box-like gun mantlet. Later production versions had the one-piece cast so-called Schweinkopf or pig's head mantlet. And so that's one way we can tell the two apart. We do see a commander crewman on the box top, but unfortunately no figures are contained in the kit. Now, one interesting aspect about the Stug 3 is that it was really the first incarnation of that production philosophy that the Germans adopted. That's where they would take a tank chassis that was already in production, and then they would do away with the turret, put on a casement and a flexible gun. This trend continued on throughout the entire war. Up until the Stug 3, basically the Germans were scrambling once they encountered heavy French tanks, then later seemingly endless waves of Russian tanks, so the need for more capable and mobile anti-tank weapons and artillery was painfully urgent, so the Germans improvised at that point. At first they took existing anti-tank guns and vehicle chassis, either their own or captured, and mated them together as a stopgap. The designs became a little more refined throughout the Martyr 1, 2, and 3 series, but it wasn't really until the Stug 3 where that philosophy of repurposing production chassis really came into its own. That philosophy was so successful that other subsequent vehicles followed that evolution. We've got the Stug 4, the Jagdpanzer IV, Nashorn, Hetzer, Jagdpanther, and Jagdtiger. But the Stug 3 was the kind of the granddaddy of them all. It's easy to confuse the Stug 3 and 4 since they look very similar, but the 3 has 6 wheels per side whereas the 4 has 8. But to confuse matters, mini art does depict a Stug 3 that has 8 wheels. This is a training version and likely represents the pre-production period where engineers were still experimenting with different suspension configuration. The production version of the Stug 3 in fact has torsion bar suspension, whereas the 4 has leaf spring bogies. So just a quick tour of the box. On this side we just have a repeat of the box top, and it's repeated on the other side. On this side we've got a couple of side full color views of 2 different markings and campaign and theaters here. We actually have markings for 5, and we'll see that in a moment. On the other side, interestingly enough, we've actually got a sprue map so we can see exactly what's inside the box, so that's fantastic. And of course a couple of pictures of other kits that come in that Blitz Takom line. Well, so there it is. Before we dig into the box, as always, let's have a quick look at some of the product lines that manufacturers have and some of the choices we have if we do in fact want to build the Stug 3. Takom is only the one Stug 3 boxings, but other manufacturers have released 135 styrene kits on the subject. Indeed, so many that we have only time to look at just a few. Italy has this single release in 1/35th scale. It's a rebox of an earlier Dragon kit. Released in the mid-90s, it comes with sprue-mounted single track links, a 2-part styrene barrel, and markings for 2 vehicles. The kit may be discontinued as most North American retailers we checked didn't stock it, so no pricing information is available. Dragon and its subsidiaries have released an astonishing 35 boxings dating back to 1994. We show only a small sample of them here. These are all premium kits and prices range from $65 US and up. These kits have enormous part counts and are suitable for builders with intermediate to advanced skills. Their initial release was Kit 6008, which appeared in 1994. Although some Dragon initial releases tend to be reboxings of other brands, this kit is an in-house casting, and while generally a solid release, it does seem to lack the crispness and higher standard of detail that Dragon adopted in later releases. This boxing, Kit 6891, released in 2017, it's rather interesting in that it has molded on zimmerit in the so-called waffle pattern. This kit also features concrete armor bulges. The kit comes with DS tracks, PE, a one-piece slide molded barrel, and excellent detail overall. Typically, Dragon kits don't come with figures, but from time to time the company does release special boxings like this, Kit 30th02. This is the 30th anniversary edition and it features a reloading tank crew. This kit likely has to be ordered through Dragon and shipped from China, so be prepared to wait weeks if not months for delivery. And be forewarned, Dragon's reputation for customer service isn't exactly stellar. Tamiya has released 7 boxings over the years. The initial release dates back to 1973 Kit MT114. The kit features 70s era design and includes vinyl melt-together band tracks, motorized remnants in the hull, and other early kit limitations. Also contained in the box are 2 barrel versions and 5 figures. The barrel choice permits building either the 75mm Stug tank rifle or the 105mm Stu howitzer. Tamiya's kit number 35197, released in 1995, also permits building either the Stug or the Stu. The box contains global band tracks and styrene shirts and side skirts. Tamiya's newer releases, kits 35281 and 35310, released in 2005 and 2010 respectively, are on the whole more refined. For example, 35281 comes with a turned metal barrel and photo etch parts. 35310, the Finnish Army version, even though it's a later release, inexplicitly still retains the bothersome 2-piece barrel design. Still, at least we get the logs. Both kits come with a commander figure, gluable band tracks, and the detail and part fit associated with the Tamiya brand. These newer Tamiya kits come in at around $46 US. Mini Art has this single boxing, Kit 35210, released in 2010. This is the Stug 30 series. It's a rather interesting early war training version. It has the older sprocket design and this unique running gear arrangement, which has 8 small road wheels instead of the usual 6. This makes this version easily confused with the Stug 4, which also has 8 road wheels per side. This is a very high quality kit that contains clear parts, PE, a slide molded one-piece barrel, and individual workable tracks. The kit retails for around $54 US. Bronco has released 4 boxings in the period of 2016 to 2017. These premium kits feature individual track links, clear parts, a generous amount of photo etch, turned metal barrels, and braided copper wire for towing cables. Kit CB35116 is a 2-in-1 kit. The kit permits us to build either the assault configuration, which has a 75mm howitzer, or the long-barreled 75mm tank rifle version. These are high-quality kits priced at around $51 US. Since Takom kits are the newest release in our product line review and given its price, which makes it competitive with any other premium brand, it made an excellent choice for our Stug 3 build project. Alrighty, time for the big unboxing. It's always exciting. Ooh, here we go. Oh, beautiful. Now, just don't forget that if you do purchase this, it might be packaged differently than what I depict here because I do rummage through the box before the video, but it'll give us a good sense of what's going on. 7 sprues, some loose parts like the hull and such, and we've got a little bit of wire here for our cable, a PE sheet, a cal sheet, and of course our instructions. I didn't count the parts, but I will say that the part count is pretty high on this. I'll say a medium to high. Let's get everything out here and we'll have a look to see what we get in the box. Right, so just starting off with our instruction booklet, the first thing we see is just how tiny it is. Look at it just compared to my hand. And also if we just grab our trumpeter instructions here for our KV1, we get a size comparison. So I'm not sure why Takom's adopted this small format like this. Some people like it. It doesn't take up much room on the bench. But given the fact that most modelers are a little bit older, this is definitely hard on our eyes. But so that's a bit of a gripe for me. But well, let's have a look inside. We'll go through it fairly quickly. Starting with some of our little sundries here, we do get a small PE sheet. We can see it here, engine grill covers and such. And we can see that we can see through the engine grill, so that's rather nice. And they're not flat. It's kind of hard to tell on the camera, but those little raised bolts on these two parts here are actually raised a little bit, so it's three-dimensional. But you know, we do get PE in the right places, so that's fantastic. And our decal sheet, just a little sheet. I like the blue backing paper, really makes them stand out nice. We do have markings for 5 vehicles, and we can see that the carrier film is quite tight around the ink, so that's rather nice. I mean, some of these shapes here do have the carrier film on the inside. If I can catch it in the light, probably won't be able to, but... And then finally, we do get this very nice, very delicate copper braided wire for our towing cable, so very nice. And we get quite a bit of it, and we might even have a little bit left over for our stash, so very nice. We're not going to look at all the details, but we'll just look at some of the salient points just to get a sense of the casting. And right away, Takom, we can say that their casting is very crisp, very sharp, absolutely superb, kind of in the same league as the Mag models that we've looked at in the series. And we can see some little notches there that'll help us align our wheels, which is very nice. It's a fairly thick gauge, so we don't get tons of flexing there. But again, very crisp, very nice, very sharp details. I can just feel it with my finger. And I really do like the color of the styrene as well, this sort of dark neutral gray. And here's the roof for the casement, and I'll get a closer shot of this, but it looks like there's bolts on the outside, but these are actually, the detail are sunken screws, and if we look close, we can actually see the screw detail. And we'll look at that a little bit closer, but again, very crisp and sharp and excellent detail. I'm really liking this already. And here's the end, the deck, and very nice again, all the details, all the little bolts and things, and the hinge detail is fantastic. And it's got very, very fine non-skid texture here that, again, I'll get in a bit closer here so we can get a really good sense of what it looks like. The molding on the rest of the parts is equally impressive. Here we can see evidence of slide molding in the towing cable loops. And look at the detail on these bin clasps, spectacular. Even the tiniest details are present, including the nuts on this bolt-on armor plate. The kit does have a few tiny and delicate parts, which will test a builder's patience and dexterity. The barrel is a solid piece and comes with this 2-part muzzle brake, which does have a parting line that we'll have to clean up. There are shallow knockouts on the periscopes that'll need some attention. We can pose the hatches open, but the interior detail, like the gun mount here, are pretty rudimentary. The detail on the wheels and suspension is superb. Here we can see the raised Continental lettering on the rubber part. The Lincoln-length tracks look great, but there are knockouts on the back, not nearly as many as our KV kit, and they're pretty shallow, so it shouldn't be an issue. But the guide horns are hollow, which is accurate. The single links thankfully have no knockouts. We also have beautiful weld beads all over the top surfaces, which really enhance the overall look of the model. And that's a wrap for this episode. Check back soon as we'll undertake the construction of our Stug 3. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave us a like, or feel free to drop us a comment. Otherwise, visit the channel Tom's World for a complete list of all our entertaining and educational videos. In the meantime, keep your ammo bin full, stay well, and all the best.